Agriculture. Gurpreet, Madhav and Tina were walking through the village where they saw a farmer tilling land. The farmer told them that he was growing wheat and had just added manure to the soil to make it more fertile. He told the children that the wheat would fetch a good price in the mandi, from where it would be taken to factories to make bread and biscuits from flour. This transformation from a plant to a finished product involves three types of economic activities. These are primary, secondary, tertiary activities. Primary activities include all those connected with extraction and production of natural resources. Agriculture, fishing and gathering are good examples. Secondary activities are concerned with the processing of these resources. Manufacturing of steel, baking of bread and weaving of cloth are examples of this activity. Tertiary activities provide support to the primary and secondary sectors through services. Transport, trade, banking, insurance and advertising are examples of tertiary activities. Agriculture is a primary activity. It includes growing crops, fruits, vegetables, flowers and rearing of livestock. In the world, 50% of persons are engaged in the agricultural activity. 2/3 of India's population is still dependent on agriculture. Favorable topography of soil and climate are vital for agricultural activity. The land on which the crops are grown is known as arable land. In the map, you can see that agricultural activity is concentrated in those regions of the world where suitable factors for the growing of crops exist. Do you know? Agriculture, the science of art of cultivation on the soil, raising crops and rearing livestock. It is called farming. The science and art of cultivation on the soil, raising crops and rearing livestock. It is also called farming. Sericulture, commercial rearing of silkworms. It may supplement the income of the farmer. Pisciculture, breeding of fish in specially constructed tanks and ponds. Viticulture, cultivation of grapes. Horticulture, growing vegetables, flowers, fruits for commercial use. Viticulture, cultivation of grapes. Pisciculture, breeding of fish in specially constructed tanks and ponds. Farm system, agriculture or farming can be looked at as a system. The important inputs are seeds, fertilizers, machinery and labor. Some of the operations involved are ploughing, sowing, irrigation, weeding and harvesting. The outputs from the system include crops, wool, dairy and poultry products. Types of farming. Farming is practiced in various ways across the world depending upon the geographical conditions, demand of produce, labor and level of technology. Farming can be classified into two main types. These are subsistence farming and commercial farming. Subsistence farming. This type of farming is practiced to meet the needs of the farmer's family. Traditionally, low levels of technology and household labor are used to produce a small output. Subsistence farming can be further classified as intensive subsistence and primitive subsistence farming. In intensive subsistence agriculture, the farmer cultivates a small plot of land using simple tools and more labor. Climate with large number of days with sunshine and fertile soils permit growing of more than one crop annually on the same plot. Rice is the main crop. Other crops include wheat, maize, pulses and oilseeds. Intensive subsistence agriculture is prevalent in the thickly populated areas of the monsoon regions of South, Southeast and East Asia. Primitive subsistence agriculture includes shifting cultivation and nomadic herding. Shifting cultivation. Shifting cultivation is practiced in the thickly forested areas of Amazon basin, tropical Africa, parts of Southeast Asia and Northeast India. These are the areas of heavy rainfall and a quick regeneration of vegetation. A plot of land is cleared by felling the trees and burning them. The ashes are then mixed with the soil and crops like maize, yam, potatoes and cassava are grown. After the soil loses its fertility, the land is abandoned and the cultivator moves to a new plot. Shifting cultivation is also known as slash and burn agriculture. Nomadic herding is practiced in the semi-arid and arid regions of Sahara, Central Asia and some parts of India like Rajasthan and Jammu and Kashmir. In this type of farming, herdsmen move place to place with their animals for food and water along defined routes. This type of movement arises in response to climatic constraints and terrain. Sheep, camel, yak and goats are most commonly reared. They provide milk, meat, wool, hides and other products to the herders and their families. Commercial farming. In commercial farming, crops are grown and animals are reared for sale in market. The area cultivated and the amount of capital used is large. Most of the work is done by machines. Commercial farming includes commercial grain farming, mixed farming and plantation agriculture. In commercial grain farming, crops are grown for commercial purpose. Wheat and maize are common commercially grown grains. Major areas where commercial grain farming is practiced are temperature grasslands of North America, Europe and Asia. These areas are sparsely populated with large farms spreading over hundreds of hectares. Severe winters restrict the growing season and only a single crop can be grown. In mixed farming, the land is used for growing food and fodder crops and rearing livestock. It is practiced in Europe, Eastern USA, Argentina, Southeast Australia, New Zealand and South Africa. Plantations are a type of commercial farming where single crop of tea, coffee, sugarcane, cashew, rubber, banana or cotton are grown. Large amount of labor and capital are required. The produce may be processed on the farm itself or in nearby factories. The development of a transport network is thus essential for such farming. Major plantations are found in the tropical regions of the world. Rubber in Malaysia, coffee in Brazil, tea in India and Sri Lanka are some examples. Major crops. A large variety of crops are grown to meet the requirement of the growing population. Crops also supply materials for agro-based industries. Major food crops are wheat, rice, maize and millets. Jute and cotton are fiber crops. Important beverage crops are tea and coffee. Rice. Rice is the major food crop of the world. It is the staple diet of the tropical and subtropical regions. Rice needs high temperature, high humidity and rainfall. It grows best in alluvial clayey soil which can retain water. China leads in the production of rice, followed by India, Japan, Sri Lanka and Egypt. In favorable climatic conditions as in West Bengal and Bangladesh, 2 or 3 crops are grown in a year. 2 to 3 crops grown in a year. Wheat. Wheat requires moderate temperature and rainfall during growing season and bright sunshine at the time of harvest. It thrives best in well-drained loamy soil. Wheat is grown extensively in USA, Canada, Argentina, Russia, Ukraine, Australia and India. In India, it is grown in winter. Millets. They are also known as coarse grains and can be grown on less fertile and sandy soils. It is a hardy crop that needs low rainfall and high to moderate temperature and adequate rainfall. Jowar, bajra and ragi are grown in India. Other countries are Nigeria, China and Niger. Maize. Maize requires moderate temperature rainfall and lots of sunshine. It needs well-drained fertile soils. Maize is grown in North America, Brazil, China, Russia, Canada, India and Mexico. Cotton. Cotton requires high temperature. Light rainfall, 210 frost-free days and bright sunshine for its growth. 210 frost-free days and bright sunshine for its growth. It grows best on black and alluvial soils. China, USA, India, Pakistan, Brazil and Egypt are the leading producers of cotton. It is one of the main raw materials for the cotton in textile industry. Jute. Jute was also known as the golden fiber. It grows well on alluvial soil and requires high temperature, heavy rainfall and humid climate, like rice. This crop is grown in the tropical areas. India and Bangladesh are the leading producers of jute. Coffee. Coffee requires warm and wet climate and well-drained loamy soil. Hill slopes are more suitable for growth of this crop. Brazil is the leading producer, followed by Colombia and India. Tea. Tea is a beverage crop grown on plantations. This requires cool climate and well-distributed high rainfall throughout the year for the growth of its tender leaves. It needs well-drained loamy soils and gentle slopes. Labor in large number is required to pick the leaves. Kenya, India, China, Sri Lanka produce the best quality tea in the world. Agricultural development. Agricultural development refers to efforts made to increase farm production in order to meet the growing demand of increasing population. This can be achieved in many ways, such as increasing the cropped area, the number of crops grown, improving irrigation facilities, use of fertilizers and high yielding variety of seeds. Mechanization of agriculture is also another aspect of agricultural development. The ultimate aim of agricultural development is to increase food security. Agriculture has developed at different places in different parts of the world. Developing countries with large populations usually practice intensive agriculture, where crops are grown on small holdings, mostly for subsistence. Larger holdings are more suitable for commercial agriculture, as in USA, Canada and Australia. With the help of two case studies of farms, one from India and the other from the USA, let us understand about agriculture in the developing and a developed country. A farm in India. There is a small village Adilabad in Gazipur district of Uttar Pradesh. Munna Lal is a small farmer in this village who has farmland of about 1.5 hectares. His house is in the main village. He purchases high yielding varieties of seeds from the market every alternate year. The land is fertile and he grows at least 2 crops in a year, which are normally wheat or rice and pulses. The farmer takes advice of his friends and elders as well as government agricultural officers regarding farming practices. He takes a tractor on rent for ploughing his field. Though some of his friends still use traditional method of using bullocks for ploughing, there is a tube well in the nearby field which he takes on rent to irrigate his land. Munna Lal also has 2 buffaloes and few hens. He sells milk in the cooperative store located in the nearby town. He is a member of the cooperative society, which also advises him on the type of fodder for his animals, safety measures to protect the health of the livestock and artificial insemination. All the members of the family help him in various farm activities. Sometimes he takes credit from a bank or the agricultural cooperative society to buy HYV seeds and implements. He sells his produce in the mandi located in the nearby town. Since majority of the farmers do not have lack storage facilities, they are forced to sell the produce even when the market is not favorable to them. In recent years, the government has taken some steps to develop storage facilities. A farm in the USA. The average size of a farm in the USA is much larger than that of an Indian farm. A typical farm size in the USA is about 250 hectares. The farmer generally resides in the farm. Some of the major crops grown are corn, soya bean, wheat, cotton and sugar beet. Joey Horan, a farmer in the Midwest USA, in Iowa state owns about 300 hectares of land. He grows corn on his field after making sure that soil and water resources meet the needs of this crop. Adequate measures are taken to control pests that can damage the crop. From time to time, he sends the soil samples to a soil testing laboratory to check whether the nutrients are sufficient or not. The results help Joe Horan to plant a scientific fertilizer program. His computer is linked to the satellite, which gives him a precise picture of his field. This helps him to use chemical fertilizers and pesticides wherever they are required. He uses tractors, seed drills, leveler, combined harvester, and thresher to perform various agricultural operations. Grains are stored in the automated grain storage or dispatched to market agencies. The farmer in USA works like businessman and not like a peasant farmer. Human resources. People are a nation's great resource. Nature's bounty becomes significant only when people find it useful. People are a nation's great resource. Nature's bounty becomes significant only when people find it useful. It is people with their demands and abilities that turn them into resources. Hence, human resource is the ultimate resource. Healthy, educated, and motivated people develop resources as per their requirements. Human resources, like other resources, are not equally distributed over the world. They differ in their educational levels, age, and sex. Their numbers and characteristics also keep changing. Do you know the Government of India has a Ministry of Human Resource Development? The ministry was created in 1985 with an aim to improve people's skills. This just shows how important people are a resource for the country. Do you know Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana was starting in 2015, aiming to train 1 crore Indian youth from 2016 to 2020. The objective of this scheme is to encourage aptitude towards employable skills by giving quality training to probable and existing wage earners. Distribution of population. The way in which people are spread across the earth's surface is known as the pattern of population distribution. More than 90% of the world's population lives in about 30% of the land surface. The distribution of population in the world is extremely uneven. Some areas are very crowded and some are sparely populated. The crowded areas are South and Southeast Asia, Europe and North America. Very few people live in high latitude areas, tropical deserts, high mountains, and areas of equatorial forests. Many more people live north of the equator than south of the equator. Almost 3/4 of the world's people live in two continents, Asia and Africa. 60% of the world's people stay in just 10 countries. All of them have more than 100 million people. Density of population. Population density is the number of people living in a unit area of the earth's surface. It is normally expressed as per square kilometers. The average density of population in the whole world is 51 persons per square kilometer. South Central Asia has the highest density of population, followed by East and Southeast Asia. Factors affecting distribution of population. Geographical factors. Topography. People always prefer to live on plains rather than mountains and plateaus because these areas are suitable for farming, manufacturing, and service activities. The Ganga plains are the most densely populated areas of the world, while mountains like Andes, Alps, and Himalayas are sparsely populated. Climate: people usually avoid extreme climates that are very hot or very cold, like Sahara Desert, polar regions of Russia, Canada, and Antarctica. Soil: fertile soils provide suitable land for agriculture. Fertile lands such as Ganga and Brahmaputra in India, Huanghe, Changjiang in China, and the Nile in Egypt are densely populated. Water: people prefer to live in the areas where fresh water is easily available. The river valleys of the world are densely populated, while deserts have spare population. Minerals: areas with mineral deposits are more populated. Diamond mines of South Africa and the discovery of oil in the Middle East led to setting of people in these areas. Social, cultural, and economic factors. Social: areas of better housing, education, and health facilities are more densely populated. Example, Pune. Cultural: places with religion or cultural significance attract people. Varanasi, Jerusalem, and Vatican City are some examples. Economic: industrial areas provide employment opportunities. Large number of people are attracted to these areas. Osaka in Japan and Mumbai in India are two densely populated areas. Osaka in Japan and Mumbai in India are two densely populated areas. Population change: the population change refers to change in the number of people during a specific time. The world population has not been stable. It has increased manifold as seen in the figure 6.3. Why? This is actually due to changes in the number of births and deaths. For an extremely long period of human history, until the 1800s, the world's population grew steadily but slowly. Large numbers of babies were born, but they died early too. This was as there were no proper health facilities. Sufficient food was not available for the people. Farmers were not able to produce enough to meet the food requirements of all the people. As a result, the total increase in population was very low. In 1804, the world's population reached 1 million. 155 years later, in 1959, the world's population reached 3 billion. This is often called population explosion. In 1999, 40 years later, the population doubled to 6 billion. The main reason for this growth was that with better food supplies and medicine, deaths were reducing, while the number of births still remained fairly high. Births are usually measured using the birth rate, that is, the number of live births per 1000 people. Deaths are usually measured using the death rate, that is, the number of deaths per 1000 people. Migrations is the movement of people in and out of an area. Births and deaths are the natural cause of the population change. The difference between the birth rate and the death rate of a country is called the natural growth rate. The population increase in the world is mainly due to rapid increase in natural growth rate. The population increase in the world is mainly due to rapid increase in natural growth rate. Migration is another way by which population size changes. People may move within a country or between countries. Immigrants are people who leave a country. Immigrants are those who arrive in a country. Countries like United States of America and Australia have gained in numbers by in-migration or immigration. Sudan is example of a country that has experienced a loss in population members due to out-migration or immigration. The general trend of international migrations is from the less developed nation to more developed. Nations in search of better employment opportunities. Within countries, a large number of people may move from the rural to urban areas in search of employment, education, and health facilities. Patterns of population change. Rates of population growth vary across the world. Figure 6.5. Although the world's total population is rising rapidly, not all countries are experiencing this growth. Some countries like Kenya have high population growth rates. They had both high birth rates and death rates. Now with improving healthcare, death rates have fallen, but birth rates still remain high, leading to high growth rates. In other countries like United Kingdom, population growth is slowing because of both low death and low birth rates. Population composition. He how crowded a how crowded a country is has little to do with its level of economic development. For example, both Bangladesh and Japan are very densely populated, but Japan is far more economically developed than Bangladesh. To understand the role of people as a resource, we need to know more about their qualities. People vary greatly in their age, sex, literacy level, health condition, occupation, and income level. It is essential to understand these characteristics of the people. Population composition refers to the structure of the population. The composition of population help us to know how many are males or females, which age group they belong to, how educated they are, and what type of occupations they are employed in, what their income levels and health conditions are. An interesting way of studying the population composition of a country is by looking at the population pyramid called an age sex pyramid. A population pyramid shows the total population divided into various age groups, example 5 to 9 years, 10 to 14 years. The percentage of the population to percentage of the total population subdivided into males and females in each of those groups. The shape of the population pyramid tells the story of the people living in that particular country. The number of children below 15 years are shown at the bottom, reflect the level of births. The size of the top shows the number of aged people above 65 years and reflects the number of deaths. The population pyramid also tells us how many dependents there are in a country. There are two groups of dependents: young dependents aged below 15 years and elderly dependents aged over 65 years. Those of the working age are economically active. The population pyramid of a country in which birth and death rates both are high is broad at the base and rapidly narrows towards the top. This is because although many children are born, a large percentage of them die in their infancy. Relatively few become adults and there are very few old people. This situation is typed by the pyramid shown for Kenya. In countries where death rates amongst the very young, especially amongst the very young, are decreasing, the pyramid is broad in the younger age groups because more infants survive to adulthood. This can be seen in the pyramid for India. Such populations contain a relatively large number of young people and which means a strong and expanding labor force. In countries like Japan, low birth rates make the pyramid narrow at the base. Decreased death rates allow numbers of people to reach old age. Skilled, spirited, and hopeful young people endowed with a positive outlook are the future of any nation. We in India are fortunate to have such a resource. They must be educated and provided skills and opportunities to become able and productive. Industries. Have you ever given a thought to the fact that the note book you use for writing has come to you after a long process of manufacturing? It started its life as a part of a tree. It was cut down and transported to the pulp mill. There the wood of the tree was processed and converted into wood pulp. The wood pulp was mixed with chemicals and finally changed into paper by machines. This paper found its way to the press, where ink made from chemicals was used to print the lines on the pages. The pages were then bound in the form of a notebook, packed and sent to the market for sale. Finally, it reached your hands. Secondary activities are manufacturing change raw materials into products of more value to people. As you have seen, pulp was changed into paper and paper into a notebook. These represent the two stages of the manufacturing process. The paper made from pulp and cloth made from cotton had value added to them at each stage of the manufacturing process. In this way, the finished product has more value and utility than the raw material that is made from. Industry refers to an economic activity that is concerned with production of goods, extraction of minerals, or the provision of services. Thus, we have iron and steel industry, production of goods, coal mining industry, extraction of coal, and tourism industry, service provider. Classification of industries. Industries can be classified into the classified on the basis of raw materials, size, and ownership. Raw materials industries may be agro based, mineral based, marine based, and forest based depending on the type of raw materials they use. Agro based industries use plant and animal based industry, and animal based industries as the industries animal based products. Agro based industries use plant and animal based products as their raw materials. Food processing, vegetable oil, cotton, textile, dairy products, and leather industries are examples of agro based industries. Mineral based industries are primary industries that use mineral ores as their raw materials. The products of these industries feed the other industries. Iron made from iron ore is the product of mineral based industry. This is used as raw material for the manufacture of a number of other products, such as heavy machinery, building materials, and railway coaches. Marine based industries use products from the sea and oceans as raw materials. Industries processing seafood or manufacturing fish oil, fish oil are some examples. Forest based industries utilize forest produce as a raw materials. The industries associated with forests are pulp and paper, pharmaceuticals, furniture, and buildings. Size, it refers to the amount of capital invested, the number of people employed, and the volume of production. Based on size, industries can be classified into small scale and large scale industries. Cottage or household industries are a type of small scale industry where the products are manufactured by hand by the artisans. Basket weaving, pottery, and other handicrafts are examples of cottage industry. Small scale industries use lesser amount of capital and technology as compared to large scale industries that produce large volumes of products. Investment of capital is higher and the technology used is superior in large scale industries. Silk weaving and food processing industries are small scale industries. Production of automobiles and heavy machinery are large scale industries. Ownership, industries can be classified into private sector, state owned or public sector, joint sector, and cooperative sector. Private sector industries are owned and operated by individuals or a group of individuals. The public sector industries are owned and operated by the government, such as Hindustan Aeronautics Limited and Steel Authority of India Limited. Joint sector industries are owned and operated by the state and individuals or a group of individuals. Maruti Udyog Limited is an example of joint sector industry. Cooperative sector industries are owned and operated by the producers and or supplies of raw materials. Workers are both. Anand Milk Union Limited and Sudha Dairy are a success stories of a cooperative venture. Factors affecting location of industries. The factors affecting the location of industries are the availability of raw material, land, water, labor, power, capital, transport, and market. Industries are situated where some or all of those factories are easily available. Sometimes the government provides incentives like subsidized power, lower transport costs, and other infrastructure so that industries may be located in backward areas. Industrialization often leads to development and growth of town and cities. Industrial system. An industrial system consists of inputs, processes, and outputs. The inputs are the raw materials, labor, and costs of land, transport, power, and in other infrastructures. The process include a wide range of activities that convert the raw material into finished products. The outputs are the end product and the income earned from it. In case of the textile industry, the inputs may be cotton, human labor, factory, and transport cost. The processes include ginning, spinning, weaving, dyeing, and printing. The output is the shirt you wear. The shirt you wear. Industrial regions. Industrial regions emerge when a number of industries locate close to each other and share the benefits of their closeness. Major industrial regions of the world are Eastern North America, Western and Central Europe, Eastern Europe and Eastern Asia. Major industrial regions tend to be located in the temperate areas near seaports and especially near coalfields. India has several industrial regions like Mumbai to Pune cluster, Bangalore to Tamil Nadu region, Hooghly region, Ahmedabad to Baroda region, Chota Nagpur industrial belt, Visakhapatnam to Guntur belt, Gurgaon to Delhi to Meerut region and the Kollam to Thiruvananthapuram industrial cluster. Industrial disaster. In industries, accidents or disasters mainly occur due to technical failure or irresponsible handling of hazardous material. One of the worst industrial disasters of all time occurred in Bhopal on 3 December 1984 around 12:30 am. It was a technological accident in which highly poisonous methyl isoniate gas along with hydrogen cyanide and other reaction products leaked out of the pesticide factory of Union Carbide. The official death toll was 3,598 in 1989. Thousands who survived still suffer from one way or many ailments like blindness, impaired immune system, gastrointestinal disorders, etc. In other incident on 23rd December 2005, due to gas well blowout in Gaokyo, Chongqing, China, 243 people died, 9,000 were injured and 64,000 were evacuated. Many people died because they were unable to run after the explosion. Those who could not escape in time suffered burn to their eyes, skin and lungs from the gas. Risk reduction measures. Densely populated residential areas should be separated far away from the industrial areas. People staying in the vicinity of industries should be aware of the storage of toxins or hazardous substances and their possible effects in case of if any accident occurs. Fire warning and fighting system should be improved. Storage capacity of toxic substances should be limited. Population dispersion qualities in the industry should be improved. Do you know emerging industries are also known as the sunrise industries? These include information technology, wellness, hospitality and knowledge. Glossary. Smelting. It is the process in which metals are extracted from their ores by heating beyond the melting point. Distribution of major industries. The world's major industries are the iron and steel industry, the textile industry and the information technology industry. The iron and steel and textile industry are the older industries, while information technology is an emerging industry. The countries in which iron and steel industry is located are Germany, USA, China, Japan and Russia. Textile industries is concentrated in India, Hong Kong, South Korea, Japan and Taiwan. The major hubs of information technology industry are the Silicon Valley of Central California and the Bangalore region of India. Land, soil, water, natural vegetation and wildlife resources. In a small village in Tanzania, Africa, Mamba gets up very early morning in the morning to fetch water. She has to walk a long way and returns after a few hours. She then helps her mother in the house and joins her brothers in taking care of their goats. All her family owns is a piece of rocky land around their small hut. Mamba's father can barely grow some maize and beans on it after toiling hard. This is not enough to feed their family for the whole year. Peter lives in the heart of the sheep rearing region in New Zealand, where his family runs a wool processing factory. Every day when he returns from school, Peter watches his uncle taking care of their sheep. Their sheep yard is situated on a wide grassy plain with hills in the far distance. It is managed in a scientific way using the latest technology. Peter's family also grows vegetables through organic farming. Do you know 90% of the world population occupies only 30% of the land area? The 30% of land area. The remaining 70% of the land is either sparsely populated or uninhabited. Mamba and Peter stay in two different parts of the world and lead very different lives. This difference is because of the differences in the quality of land, soil, water, natural vegetation, animals, and the usage of technology. The availability of such resources is the main reason places differ from each other. Land is among the most important natural resources. It covers only about 30% of the total area of the Earth's surface, and all parts of this small percentage are not habitable. The uneven distribution of population in different parts of the world is mainly due to varied characteristics of land and climate. The rugged topography, steep slopes of the mountains, low-lying areas susceptible to water logging, desert areas, thick forest areas are normally sparsely populated or uninhabited. Plains and river valleys offer suitable land for agriculture. Hence, these are the densely populated areas of the world. Land use. Land is used for different purposes such as agriculture, forestry, mining, building houses, roads, and setting up of industries. This is commonly termed as land use. Can you list out the different ways in which Mamba's and Peter's family use their land? The use of land is determined by physical factors such as topography, soil, climate, minerals, and availability of water. Human factors such as population and technology are also important determinants of land use pattern. Land can be classified on the basis of ownership as private land and community land. Private land is owned by individuals, whereas community land is owned by the community for common uses like collection of fodder, fruits, nuts, or medicinal herbs. These community lands are also called common property resources. People and their demands are ever growing, but the availability of land is limited. The quality of land also differs from place to place. People started encroaching the common lands to build up commercial areas, housing complexes in the urban areas, and to expand the agricultural land in the rural areas. Today, the vast changes in the land use pattern also reflect the cultural changes in our society. Land degradation, landslides, soil erosion, desertification are the major threats to the environment. Because of the expansion of agriculture and construction activities. Conservation of land resource. Growing population and their ever growing demand has led to a large scale destruction of forest cover and arable land, and has created a fear of losing his natural resource. Therefore, the present rate of degradation of land must be checked. Afforestation, land reclamation, regulated use of chemical pesticide and fertilizers, and checks on overgrazing are some of the common methods used to conserve land resources. Glossary. Weathering, the breaking up and decay of exposed rocks by temperature changes, frost action, plants, animals, and human activity. Soil. The thin layer of grainy substance covering the surface of the earth is called soil. It is closely linked to land. Landforms determine the types of soil. Soil is made up of organic matter, minerals, and weathered rocks found on the earth. This happens through the process of weathering. The right mix of minerals and organic matter make the soil fertile. Landslides. Landslides are simply defined as the mass movement of rock, debris, or earth down a slope. They often take place in conjunction with earthquakes, floods, and volcanoes. A prolonged spell of rainfall can cause heavy landslides that can block the flow of river for quite some time. The formation of river blocks can cause havoc to the settlements downstream on its bursting. In the hilly terrain, landslides have been a major and widely spread natural disaster that often strike life and property and occupy a position of major concern. A case study. A massive landslide hit Pangi village near Rekhong Pio in Kinnaur district of Himachal Pradesh and damaged a 200-meter stretch of old Hindustan to Tibet road. National Highway 22. This landslide was triggered by intense blasting at Pangi village. Due to the blasting, this weak zone of slope collapsed and caused intense damage to the road and nearby villages. The Pangi village was completely vacated to avoid any possible loss of life. Mitigation mechanism. Advancement in scientific techniques has empowered us to understand what factors cause landslides and how to manage them. Some broad mitigation techniques of landslides are as follows: hazard mapping to locate areas prone to landslides. Hence, such areas can be avoided for building settlements. Construction of retention of wall to stop land from slipping. Increase in the vegetation cover to arrest landslide. The surface drainage control works to control the movement of landslide along with rainwater and spring flows. Factors of soil formation. The major factors of soil formation are the nature of the parent rock and climatic factors. Other factors are the topography, role of organic material and time taken for the composition of soil formation. All these differ from place to place. Topsoil with humus and vegetation, subsoil with sand, silt and clay, weathered rock material, parent rock. Do you know it takes hundreds of years to make just 1 centimeter of soil? Soil, climate, temperature, rainfall influence rate of weathering and humus formation. Time determines thickness of soil profile. Flora, fauna and microorganism affect the rate of humus formation. Relief, altitude and slope determine accumulation of soil. Parent rock determines color, texture, chemical properties, mineral content, permeability. Degradation of soil and conservation measures. Soil erosion and depletion are the major threats to soil as a resource. Both human and natural factors can lead to degradation of soils. Factors which lead to soil degradation are deforestation, overgrazing, overuse of chemical fertilizers or pesticides, rainwash, landslides and floods. Some methods of soil conservation are listed below. Mulching. The bare ground between plants is covered with a layer of organic matter like straw. It helps to retain soil moisture. Contour barriers. Stones, grass, soil are used to build barriers along contours. Trenches are made in front of the barriers to collect water. Rock dam. Rocks are piled up to slow down the flow of water. This prevents gullies and further soil loss. Terrace farming. Broad flat steps or terraces are made on the steep slopes so that flat surfaces are available to grow crops. They reduce surface runoff and soil erosion. Intercropping. Different crops are grown in alternate rows or sown at different times to protect the soil from rainwash. Contour ploughing. Ploughing parallel to the contours of a hill slope to form a natural barrier for water to flow down the slope. Shelter belts. In the coastal and dry regions, rows of trees are planted to check the wind movement to protect soil cover. Water. Water is a vital renewable natural resource. 3/4 of the earth's surface is covered with water. It is therefore approximately called the water planet. Blue planet means it was in the primitive oceans that life began almost 3.5 billion years back. Even today the oceans cover 2/3 of the earth's surface and support a rich variety of plant and animal life. The ocean water is however saline and not fit for human consumption. Fresh water accounts for only about 2.7%. Nearly 70% of this occurs as ice sheets and glaciers in Antarctica, Greenland and mountain regions. Due to their location, they are inaccessible. Only 1% of fresh water is available and fit for human use. It is found as groundwater, as surface water in rivers and lakes, and as water vapor in the atmosphere. Do you know a dripping tap wastes 1200 liters of water in a year? Do you know in 1975 the consumption of water for human use was 3,850 cubic kilometer per year. It soared it to more than 6,000 cubic per year in the 2000 in the year 2000. Fresh water is therefore the most precious substance on earth. Water can neither be added nor subtracted from the earth. Its total volume remains constant. Its abundance only seems to vary because it is in constant motion, cycling through the oceans, the air, the land, and back again through the process of evaporation, precipitation, and runoff. This, as you already know, is referred to as the water cycle. Humans use huge amounts of water not only for drinking and washing but also in the process of production. Water for agriculture industry is generating electricity through reservoirs of dams and are the other usages. Increasing population, rising demands for food, and cash crops, increasing urbanization, and rising standards of living are the major factors leading to shortages in supply of fresh water, either due to drying up of water sources or water population. Do you know? Have you ever heard about a water market? Amreli city in Saurashtra region with a population of 1.25 lakhs is completely dependent on purchasing water from the nearby talukas. Problems of water availability. There is a scarcity of water in many regions of the world. Most of Africa, West Asia, South Asia, parts of Western USA, Northwest Mexico, parts of South America, and entire Australia are facing shortages in fresh water supply. Countries located in climatic zones most susceptible to droughts face great problems of water scarcity. Thus, water shortage may be a consequence of variation in seasonal or annual precipitation, or the scarcity is caused by overexploitation and contamination of water sources. Conservation of water resources. Access to clean and adequate water sources is a major problem facing the world today. Steps have to be taken to conserve this dwindling resource. Even though water is a renewable resource, its overuse and population make it unfit for use. Discharge and untreated or partially treated sewage, agricultural chemicals, and industrial effluents in water bodies are major contaminants. They pollute water with nitrates, metals, and pesticides. Most of these chemicals are non-biodegradable and reach human bodies through water. Water pollution can be controlled by treating these effluents suitably before releasing them in water bodies. Forest and other vegetation covers slow the surface runoff and replenish underground water. Water harvesting is another method to save surface runoff. The canals used for irrigating fields should be properly lined to minimize losses by water seepage. Sprinklers effectively irrigate the area by checking water losses through seepage and evaporation. In dry regions with high rates of evaporation, drip or trickle irrigation is very useful. The valuable water resource can therefore be conserved by adopting these means of irrigation. Do you know rainwater harvesting is the process of collecting water from rooftops and directing it to an appropriate location where it is stored for future use. On an average, one spell of rain for 2 hours is enough to save 8,000 liters of water. Getting sleep. Natural vegetation and wildlife. Some school children were visiting an exhibition on handicrafts. The articles in the exhibition were collected from different parts of the country. Mona picked up a bag and exclaimed, "This is a beautiful handbag." "Yes, it is made from jute," the teacher said. "Do you see those baskets, lampshades, and chairs? Those are made of canes and bamboos. In the eastern and northeastern humid regions of India, bamboo grows in plenty." Jessie was excited to see a silk scarf. "See this beautiful scarf." The teacher explained that silk is obtained from silkworms that are bred on mulberry trees. The children understood that plants provide us with many different products that we use in our day-to-day life. Natural vegetation and wildlife exist only in the narrow zone of contact between the lithosphere, hydrosphere and atmosphere that we call biosphere. In the biosphere, living beings are interrelated and interdependent on each other for survival. This life supporting system is known as the ecosystem. Vegetation and wildlife are valuable resources. Plants provide us with timber, give shelter to animals, produce oxygen we breathe, protect soils so essential for growing crops, act as shelter belts, help in storage of underground water, give us fruits, nuts, latex, turpentine, oil, gum, medicinal plants, and also the paper that is so essential for your studies. There are innumerable uses of plants, and you can add some more. Wildlife includes animals, birds, insects, as well as the aquatic life forms. They provide us milk, meat, hides and wool. Insects like bees provide us honey, help in pollination of flowers, and have an important role to play as decomposers in the ecosystem. The birds feed on insects and act as decomposers as well. Vulture, due to its availability to feed on dead livestock, is a scavenger and considered is a vital cleanser of the environment. So animals, big or small, all are integral to maintaining balance in the ecosystem. Do you know vultures in the Indian subcontinent were dying of kidney failure shortly after scavenging livestock treated with diclofenac, a painkiller that is similar to aspirin or ibuprofen. Efforts are on to ban the drug for livestock use and breed vultures in captivity. Vultures in India subcontinent were dying of kidney failure shortly after scavenging livestock treated with diclofenac, a painkiller that is similar to aspirin or ibuprofen. Efforts are on to ban the drug for livestock use and breed vultures in captivity. Non-vegetarian is dangerous. Glossary: Biosphere Reserve series of protected areas linked through a global network intended to demonstrate the relationship between conservation and development. Glossary: National Park, a natural area designated to protect the ecological integrity of one or more ecosystems for the present and the future generations. Do you know CITES, the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, is an international agreement between governments. It aims to ensure that international trade in specimens of wild animals and plant does not threaten their survival. Roughly 5,000 species of animals and 28,000 species of plants are protected. Bears, dolphins, cacti, corals, orchids, and aloes are some examples. Distribution of natural vegetation. The growth of vegetation depends primarily on temperature and moisture. The major vegetation types of the world are grouped as